Hey guys, I'm Ryan,
And I'm Mac.
and we did the sounds for Outside the Box, a film by Brent Nitro, as he goes by, I believe. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
I refer to him as Brent.
Yeah, he didn't really give us his last name. I think he's a very secretive person. um, but he did this really cool animation, and he contacted us to do the sounds. And we're pretty much just going to talk about that today. A little rundown of the film. It's basically just, it seems to be, it's open for interpretation.
Yes.
It's definitely open for interpretation, but
That's an understatement.
yeah, that's definitely an understatement. But it seems to be, Brent won't tell me, but it seems to be a story about depression. And
Fighting against depression.
Fighting against depression, and I won't say anything more than that, but that's basically the gist of it. So what we did is we just did the sounds. We pretty much recorded everything. Had some libraries, had some help. We'll go into that in a moment, though. So for the gear on this, we used H6 Zoom, the Massive by Native Instruments, the AT2035, H2 Zoom, Pro Tools, Logic Pro, Quantum Leap Spaces, and what'd you use, Mac?
Pretty much all of that same stuff you used up to this point. I mean, for recording purposes, I just used my Zoom H6, and I got like the shotgun mic for it, and I recorded all the sound effects like that. But then, all my in-the-box stuff, I used Razor from Native Instruments Complete. I used a lot of stuff from Complete 9 Ultimate, and obviously Pro Tools. I did, all of my mixing and stuff in Pro Tools, and then I had a couple sound effects libraries that I was using as well for stuff that I didn't record or I wasn't able to record.
Nice. That's pretty much the gist of it for our gear that we used. So I guess we'll talk about the sounds that we did. I guess I'll start with the small effects.
Yeah.
So we started with so for the whooshes, this is actually what I used Logic Pro 9 for. So for the whooshes, what I did, it's very difficult to get. If you watch the film, you'll hear a bunch of really long, drawn out, and heavy whoosh sounds, like a car going by or like a plane going through the air without the noise of the plane itself. To get those sounds, I actually took a white noise filter from a synthesizer, or pretty much any synth should have a white noise filter on there. But if you just have a straight white noise and then you equalize it so that you cut off the highs and a little bit of the lows, and then you do an EQ sweep along with an EQ automation sweep, so that you have a what's it called? It's not a shelf EQ, but a band EQ, which and then you just did we did an automation sweep on that, and it sort of just created a nice sort of upward pitch inflection, and then that, along with the volume automation in sync with that as it rises in tone, really works out well. You should see a video of it right now. And basically what I did is I just did tons of variations of that, different frequencies, different lengths, different volumes, all sorts of different stuff. Just did as much variety as possible. Do you want to talk about large effects, what you did there?
Yeah, there were definitely some awesome large effects to do in this video, along with a couple of explosions. And as far as explosions go, I would essentially, obviously I can't go out and record explosions, but I did have some gun noises that I recorded.
I mean, the cool people anyways.
Yeah. I don't have the money nor the means to go out and record explosions yet, but it'll happen. Now, it was a lot of layering, mostly. A lot of the sounds were raw, just layered together and mixed. If I had to, there's a lot of high-pitched sounds that you can a lot of high-pitched frequencies in gunshots that don't belong there.
Wait, did you record the gunshots previously?
I already had gunshots recorded.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go out and record anything like gunshot-wise specifically for this. But yeah, I mean, you gotta EQ some of the high end off there because it does some really high end reverb, and you can hear almost like a metallic sound. But that I had some stuff from some sound effects libraries. Maybe pitch some stuff up and down, and there was a little bit of like a wind effect that I added too. 'Cause, I mean, it's hard to describe without watching the film itself, but there's a moment where there's kind of a change in perspective between the 2 points of the same explosion, and it was pretty cool to kind of nail that. But yeah, so
yeah, nice. I guess as for Foley, it's really not too complicated. What am I trying to say? The most difficult, complex Foley that there was. Actually, it's probably your chain sounds. Actually, the chain sounds in the film.
I guess you could call that Foley. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it would be. But we pretty much just did H6, the H6 zoom, shotgun attachment, and we just went outside and recorded recorded footsteps on concrete, grass, wherever it needed, and then the same deal with any clothing Foley.
Yeah.
Clothing Foley is a little difficult because you have to have a very, very tight acoustic treatment room.
Right.
You can't have any background noise or anything.
It came out really well, man.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad it did. And you can, and clothing Foley is one of those things that it's very, what's the word? It's subconscious almost, because it's not very audible. But if it's not in there,
something's missing.
Yeah,
something is missing.
It's something you feel more than hear, I suppose.
Makes more sense. Yeah, I mean, I guess for the chains, I live in a pretty noisy neighborhood. So I did that recording in my garage with the garage door closed. And of course it was in the middle of the day, and of course it was very hot outside, and there's no AC in my garage, but it was totally worth it. So, I was sitting in there.
Actually, that's really perfect for the situation of the film too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's actually very fitting.
And,
which you guys will see.
Not to divulge anything, but I was just sitting in my garage with my H6 mic'd up, and I was just shaking the chains around, kind of dragging them across the floor, doing a bunch of different things with them. And they were some heavy chains that I bought from Lowe's. I bought 2 feet a chain, which is funny because I just kind of walked into Lowe's with the intention of getting just chain, and when you walk out with just specifically 2 feet of this really heavy duty chain, the guy who cut it for me was wondering what I was doing with it. He didn't ask, so I didn't tell him. I wanted to leave it up to his imagination.
I mean, that's like one of the worst parts about sound design. Like, you have to look like a complete idiot or just like some sort of serial killer or something everywhere you go.
That's completely worth it.
I'm outside walking in circles in the grass, and my neighbors are looking at me just like, what is wrong with that child? I mean, like, you go to like Sports Authority or whatever, and you just buy 3 baseball bats and nothing else. They gotta ask questions about it.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten kicked out of more places, because I was not for this. You know what? There's a chain link fence that I actually might have used some of these sounds for. But I recorded some metal shopping carts in a Walmart parking lot in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Just attached a microphone to the bottom of it, and was walking around with my Zoom and had my buddy like slamming it into different things.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And yeah, I mean, and it made some really good, metal noises that I was able to use for this chain link fence in retrospect. But yeah, that whole period of time, people were driving by looking at me like I was nuts, but nobody said anything.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that Foley is the most talked about topic so far.
It was fun.
No, Foley's probably my favorite thing to do, honestly. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's definitely like, it's interesting because there is a certain art to it.
And it's kind of adventurous too at the same time.
Yeah, all the field recording and all that, it's definitely a different experience. So for voice, Mac pretty much took care of the voice on this one. You want to go in on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, The only two things you actually hear make noise are at one point there's somebody screams, and Ryan handed me a really good recording for that, and I really liked it, and I processed it, made it sound a little interesting, fitting for the environment. But the other one is a monster in the film. If you
there's also something at the beginning.
Right, yeah, the intro.
Yeah,
right. That was your sister, right?
Yeah, that was my sister.
Yeah.
I forgot to list her in the equipment, but you know.
Yeah, it's just simple vocal processing. A lot of
native instruments. Get your very own sister today. Sorry, go on.
No, it's I mean, for the intro, there's a little vocal chop, and tried to make it sound mysterious to fit the feeling of the film. So I added, there's a little bit of a delay, a lot of reverb, but I was already well recorded. Didn't really have to do too much to it. Mixed it in there. It was fine.
Yeah.
And then besides those two things, there was the monster, and that one was cool. I didn't have anything that I recorded specifically. I had some animal noises from various libraries. The most prominent animal though was a spider monkey screaming, and then there was like a hyena and a snow leopard layered underneath it. A bunch of pitching and processing and layering, and that one was fun. I ended up with I think 6 tracks total, and then recorded it all down into one monster sound, and I just did a bunch of those all over. That was fun hearing the because I would try so many different things to make it sound right. And I would have my girlfriend or my buddy or my brother come up and be like, does this sound like that thing looks? And, I was getting kind of close, but nothing was really hitting it. And then as soon as I added in the spider monkey, I don't know what it was about the spider monkey, but they're like, yeah, that's it. And I definitely agreed. It sounded like that thing looks.
You know what's interesting about that, though?
What's up?
You said that it didn't fit. Like they would give you feedback on that, and
yeah.
That's actually a pretty good strategy to get a sound that you want, because
Definitely.
I mean, after you've been listening to the sounds over and over again, you start to lose your perception of what good quality is. But the interesting thing is, I mean, people watch films and they don't pay attention to sounds really, and as soon as they hear something, as soon as they start to pay attention to the sounds and how good the quality is, they'll be able to pick out whether it sounds good or not.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's kind of interesting how it doesn't really hit the person until like it's pointed out to them. Oh, these sounds aren't very good. And that's why.
Yeah, and if it sounds good, nobody really even mentions it. But like you said, so I mean, it is.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I guess that's exactly.
I mean, unless like people were looking at me weird. I just recently went to see the new Jurassic Park movie, and I was waiting in line to get some some drinks and some popcorn. I told my buddy, you just go get seats. Make sure you get it, mid-center, kind of high up, not too high, definitely not down in front. I've heard the sound on this movie was really good. I want to hear it. And
for those of you who don't know, middle, like direct center of a movie theater is the best place to get the for best results of sound quality.
Yeah, sonically, it is the best place to sit.
Yeah, it's the best position to be in.
I mean, you're not losing too much, especially if you're not in there for the sound. If you sit anywhere else, I mean, don't get me wrong, but
only audio nerds are like are the ones who will care about that.
Even that, I could sit in the up in the top corner and still appreciate it. I just won't hear as much of it as I want to.
Yeah. So, did you learn anything from outside the box?
Did I learn anything? Really, it was. I did get experimental with some synthesizers.
This film was perfect for just any sort of.
Yeah. And Brent was so open to us doing, what we thought was right, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it would get a little frustrating just because it's like, all right, well, what do you want here? And
you mean with other clients or with?
No, with Brent, and it was there's a mixture of good because it was super open for
everyone's gonna experience that frustration when they and any sort of project that they do. I mean, if you have to redo anything, it's always just like.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like talking to Brent, it's like, dude, it is your film. you have say in what it sounds like. And he's like, nah, just go do it. I'll let you know if I don't like it. But he trusted us, which was really cool, and I like that. Gave a super open area for creativity. So
and the entire film is just, I don't even know what to describe it as. Surreal, overly creative, if that's a thing. It's just so out there. And that really, I mean, that just gave us such an opportunity to be able to experiment and really just, I mean, this is probably, thus far, this is probably a film that I've learned most from, because just of how much depth and different ideas and themes throughout the entire film there were.
Definitely. I would agree.
Definitely one of the more unique ones.
Absolutely. A lot of fun.
Is there anything you would have done differently on the film?
I think, honestly, I spent a lot of time trying to find the correct, not trying to divulge too much, but there's an area where I use a lot of synthesizers as, the primary noise of the background. And I was really struggling to find the right sound for that area. So I really
What were you doing before that?
It was a bunch of like variations of stuff that I had recorded, like room tone, and then some crazy wind effects, and trying to pitch them, just make it sound eerie.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool. I don't think I heard those.
Yeah, no, and this was just all stuff that I was doing, and it didn't sound right to me. Like, it might sound cool on paper, but it didn't fit the
world.
Yeah, and then I think I was getting kind of frustrated, and I just opened up a synth and I was Razor, and started messing around, modulated a bunch of stuff on my keyboard, and then just started recording layer after layer after layer of that, and then just meshed it all together on a couple different tracks and came up with this stuff. And in that, I was able to, again, not trying to divulge anything, I was able to come up with the noise of the object in the main object.
Oh, okay,
That is exactly where it came from.
Okay.
I decided that's got to be the noise for it because it sounds right. And then
I'm gonna put an annotation at the beginning of the film or at the beginning of this to watch the film beforehand, because it'll be a lot more beneficial.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
For this film. Wait, so what was your answer to the done differently?
I wish I would have gone to the synthesizer sooner, but I guess that's all in the process of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything like post-production that you're seeing? It's a little bit soon to really say anything.
Yeah, there's one moment that frustrated me after it. It's so subtle. I don't know if anybody else would notice it. So the moment where he falls out of his chair and then wakes up in that dark area.
Oh,
there's a bunch of like buzzing noises and transistor noises, and one of them, I think after I had quote unquote mastered it, brought that sound up a lot more than it was already, and it wasn't bad, like, because you even in the pre-mastered version you could hear it.
I know what you're talking about.
It just goes and then it stops really quick.
Oh, it wasn't like
It was like a buzzing noise, and it didn't really fade. It just stopped. And
I see.
Really, for the context, it could work, and it does work. It just bothered me because I didn't catch it, and I was, I guess I just missed it on the last listen through after I had, already put all the stuff on. But
if there's one thing I would have changed, I think.
What would you have changed, Ryan?
I think I would have just liked a better sound design partner. Like someone to work
Damn.
with. No. I don't know. I felt really comfortable with this. I know that in 2 months I'm gonna look back at this and be like, this sucks, because you're always improving.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
And I would be like, oh man, I would totally would have done that completely different.
But anyways, so Mac has a website. Mac, do you want to plug some stuff?
No.
Okay, then see you guys.
It's www.mtowens.com. And you can find all my information there. Cell phone, email, all that stuff. If you do, I guess, want to check out any of, should I plug? I was gonna plug my SoundCloud, but I don't really.
Do it.
All right. If you do want to check out any of my music, completely, separate from my sound design, you just search me on SoundCloud, and my name is on SoundCloud Mac, M-A-C-K, which is not how I normally spell it. It's M-A-C-K and then my last name backwards. So it's Max Snuo.
I'll put the link in the description.
But it's Owens backwards. So
cool. And Mac does he does more than just films. He also does game sound also.
Yes, indeed.
So if you can hit him up for that too, as well as me. But you guys, my email and everything will be on the description also.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks for helping out, talking on this, Mac.
No doubt.
And we will see you guys next time.